Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today I'm going to be talking about how the terms love and understanding can and are used to justify, if not justify and or condone cruelty, negligence, and irresponsibility. Now, disclaimer. I'm not saying that it is morally wrong to, earn just enough money for yourself. I'm not saying that. I am not saying that it's morally wrong to be a lowly paid worker. I'm not saying any of those things. I have nothing but respect for those who do what they can to earn money legally and as honestly as possible. But then let's get started with our topic. Now, to give you a context and to tell you where I am really coming from, I'm going to tell you a real story. And I'm a witness to this story. It's not something that I've only heard from a neighbor. I'm a witness to this one. It was 1996. My mother did everything she could to send my eldest sister to university to study commerce. Okay, that was cool. So finally, my eldest sister was going to get herself educated, right? But there's a problem. A real problem. One day, one of our neighbors told my mother that my eldest sister had been seen in a village far from her university at a time when she should have been in university. So in effect, my sister wasn't attending her classes in university. She basically was cutting classes to stay wherever she was staying. When my mother heard of that, she asked why. She asked many witnesses to this claim, and everyone said that my sister was dating a lowly paid worker. Now, I'm not saying that the lowly paid worker was disgusting in some way, nor am I saying that the lowly paid worker was some kind of an immoral man at the time. I'm not saying that. But then, the problem was, again, my sister wasn't attending her classes in university because she was dating a lowly paid worker in a village far from her university. So of course my mother got angry, as anyone would expect. So, just like any sensible mother would do, my mother told my sister to focus on studying, focus on going to university and finishing her degree, and stop dating the lowly paid worker. Okay. But then my sister, my elder sister, chose not to listen to my mother. She still did date the lowly paid worker. So it sounds romantic, right? I mean, love will keep us alive, just like the Eagles would say in the song "Love Will Keep Us Alive." It sounds romantic. It sounds so ideal. Just think about it, like someone would forget her dreams, her education, her chance to get on in life, for the sake of love, right? It sounds romantic, right? But no, because it doesn't stop there. And then a few weeks later, or maybe a few months later, my sister was found pregnant. My elder sister was pregnant. Okay. So she had no choice but to stop going to university. And of course, she had to marry the lowly paid worker. Okay. Now, you could argue and say, well, the man could simply go on and earn more money, right? No. What happened next was, because the lowly paid worker, and in this case, the husband of my sister, couldn't earn more money. He just couldn't. Maybe he didn't want to. Right? So, as soon as the son of my sister was born, my nephew, as soon as the son of my sister was born, because her husband had no money, my mother and my other sisters paid for all the hospital bills. And then it just doesn't stop there. The story doesn't stop there. The son would grow up having no financial support from his father or from his mother, because his parents were penniless. They simply had no money. They simply had no money or the means to financially support my nephew. So how did my nephew even survive? How did he go to school? Well, my mother and my sisters and my aunts supported the child. That child grew up having no financial support from his parents, not from my eldest sister, not from her husband, only from my aunts, my mother, and my other sisters. It would go on forever. It still happens today. And it doesn't stop there. In 2006, another child of theirs, a daughter, was born. Again, as usual, they had no money, so my sisters paid for all the hospital bills, and that daughter, just like her brother, would grow up having no financial support from her own parents, not from my elder sister, not from her husband. And it still happens to this day. So this parasitism has been happening since 1996 for 30 years. This parasitism has been happening. This negligence has been happening. All right. Now, I've questioned this bullshit here. I've questioned this a lot of times. My mother has always only given me one answer. Oh, because, love, because understanding and compassion. But then, because they've been supporting this negligent and irresponsible couple, they've been teaching them that it's all right to be irresponsible, it's all right to be negligent, because they're just going to stay there anyway to support their children that they cannot support. Love and understanding are used to justify negligence and just maybe laziness and irresponsibility. And it's really cruel if you're going to think about it, because think about it this way. What if at any moment in time my aunts and my sisters and my mother had suddenly got tired of supporting them? What would their children, the son or the daughter, would have eaten? How would they have gone to school? How would they have eaten 3 meals a day, let alone eating healthy, food? None. Just nothing. But then this bullshit has been going on for 30 years. Now, as you can see how toxic it is, and it has been toxic since 1996. And this situation is not an isolated case. This is not an isolated case. It happens, and it has happened to some or many families in the Philippines. It's not really that fun in the Philippines. People would say, maybe foreigners would say, it's fun in the Philippines. No, don't say that unless you live here and see, how toxic it can be. Now, I'm not saying that there are no nice people in the Philippines. There are many nice people here. I'm not saying that there are no responsible people here in the Philippines. There are many responsible Filipinos, but there are also many parasitic and negligent and lazy and irresponsible people. And there are also people who condone and even support and tolerate negligence, cruelty, and irresponsibility and laziness. So I think you see now how the terms love and understanding can be used to justify negligence, cruelty, and irresponsibility. At least in this country, as I see it. I don't know if it's true in your country. I hope it's not. I genuinely hope that it's not. Thank you very much for listening.